Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name's Matt Drake. This is episode 94. 94. We're getting close, Brady. We're getting close to 100. We are close. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to that 100 because it's going to be how we celebrate 2023. So I believe we worked it out that it's going to be our first episode in the new year. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. To be fair, I'm pretty excited for the show. You kind of trickled in this late guest announcement that we have the one, the only Scott Stokely joining us again this evening. The fact that we get to interview him twice in a year, I'm super impressed with. I'm so curious about this world tour of his. I can't wait to hear what he's got planned in the future. I know he's in Australia at the moment, but there's more on that list.
Yeah, absolutely. And to do it at a decent time zone for everyone, right? We're not keeping him up till ungodly hours. So yeah, excellent. Right,
go ahead. What do we got? What do we got in store?
Okay, we're going to go through the hot scores from around the country. Then we're going to go through the league roundup. There's lots of leagues being played currently and some great scores coming through. We'll have a quick chat about the results of last weekend's Bros for Chains Charity Classic. Which came in, and spoiler alert, Drew Gibson won by a handsome margin, but we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And then we'll be talking to Scott and his Antipodean adventure and Aussie Nats, which is this weekend. In near Brisbane, isn't it? Is it
yeah, Queensland?
Is that right? Have I got that right? Landsborough, have I pronounced that correctly? Probably not.
I think so.
Landsborough in Queensland. So yeah. So we'll look forward to that. Anyway, hot scores. Brady kicks off down south.
Down south, as ever, starting in Invercargill. Let's go to Queen's Park. And Jaden Menzies comes in with a hot round of -10 this week. Nice shooting, Jaden. Over in Dunedin, Chingford Park, Jack Matthews getting it done, -6. And at Brockville, Tom McKay stays up the top with a -5 for the hot round this week. Queenstown going Lakeside in the Gardens. Jack Halliday gets it done, -9 at the Gardens. Nice shooting, Jack. And Stuart Gilchrist comes in with a hot round at Tucker's Beach with a -1 this week. Over the Crown Range in Wanaka, Ely Point, Ryan Cambridge shoots a 6 under par to take the hot round this week. And locking it out at Lismore, Ryan Cambridge at 11 under par. Nice shooting, Ryan. He'll be feeling confident coming up to Fault Line this weekend. To the Garden City, we go to Christchurch. Jeremy Brockville comes in at a -10 at Jelly, so nice shooting, Jeremy. Brooker Ave, real quiet this week. Everyone was playing the Bros for Change layout, so we'll pass on that this week. We'll hop over to Queen's Park. Philip Botha and Elliot Faulkner shoot the -5 for the hot round. And rounding out the South Island, Warren Park, Ben Cooper shoots -7. Matt, take us through the north.
Started in Berrenport, Brady Cush hits the hot round for the week with a -7 in the hills in the capital. Across the foreshore at Hikoikoi, Ben Morrison once again hits the hot score with 5 under par. Francis Orange took out this week's league week on Wednesday night with a 7 under par at Harcourt Park. And Joel Simpson hits 8 down at Linklater in the mighty Manawatu. Up to Spa Park Black, and it's Steve Lawson who is also down in the capital this weekend. Hits 3 under par in Topor. Over at Maryland's, Connor McKinstry and Brian Rawlins hit 5 under par apiece. Up at McLaren's, it's Chris Van Marnen. I hope I pronounced that correctly, with 1 under par. And Richard Waterson hits 13 under par on the full Henderson 20. So yeah, some pretty good scores there coming in from around the country. Let's just pop around the leagues and see what we can see. There's been plenty of league activity going on. So let's just bung this up on the old screen so we can see what we're doing. The Sunday League run by Elliot Faulkner down in Christchurch. The hot round this week was Ashton Clark hits a 980 rated round. stroke over Joe Berry, who is a stroke clear of Sergei Sanin. At the Dunedin Tuesday League, the hot round this week, Cameron Verco with 978, 51 is the hot score for the week over Tom McKay, who shoots what seems to be a rather uncharacteristic 52. And over in Lismore, it's Ryan Cambridge showing in some absolutely blistering form before coming up to fault line. Be interesting to see how he plays. At the Dunedin Friday night, Tom McKay gets his own back with a 1,008 rated round for Tom. So congratulations there. At the Topor Tap It In League, you've got Steve Lawson, who hits the hot round at 929 rated round on Tuesday. Wednesday night up in Wellington, it was Francis Orange who hit the hot round with a 981 rated 47. So that's 7 under par. So well done to Francis. He's 17 under par from 2 rounds at Harcourt Park. I mean, it was perfect condition, but still. Going into this weekend, that certainly looks promising. And finally, Topor's Thursday night league, Ross Elphick takes out the hot round with a 959 rated 61. So some great play there across the leagues. And we've talked about it before. The number of people playing leagues is just growing enormously, right? I got a message end of last week, actually. I think it was from someone in Topol saying 45 people played at their league. It's outrageous. So, absolutely fantastic. There was a time, and it's not too far ago, actually, where that was a tournament turnout, right? And now it's a midweek league turnout. That's absolutely outrageous.
A local league, too.
Yeah.
Not totally. Even in like a big city center. 45 in Topor?
Yeah, I mean, no, not being stick to Topor, but it's a smaller town than Wellington, Christchurch, Invercargill up in Auckland. It's a much smaller town, and so it's got a smaller catchment area, a smaller number of population. It's absolutely fantastic. 31 in Maryland in the rain. You love the rain.
Hardcore in action.
But I mean, it's always raining in the Naki, isn't it? So, like 31 coming out playing in normal conditions there. We'll see. Excellent. No, absolutely. It's great to see. Great to see. Let's just have a quick scoot at the Bros for Chains Charity Classic. We actually had 2 tournaments run last weekend. There was the Bros for Chains.
We had Auckland Champs as well.
We did. We had the Bros for Chains Charity Classic. Let me just bung this up on the screen for you to see. Probably no surprise, Drew Gibson took out the division with a 19 shot lead.
19 shot lead.
What do you think to that? I'm interested to get your thoughts, because I mean, I think we all said he's probably going to win, but did we all guess 19 shots? I didn't.
I would have guessed more.
Oh, really?
I
had it.
So I have to give mad props to Jackson and Joe for kind of keeping up, like keeping it under like 30 strokes. I saw it happen at the Aussie Champs over in Australia, or the Aussie Disc Golf Open in Perth. That American touring players are playing 10 shots better per round than Oceania players. Nothing against Oceania players, you know what I mean? They have a lot of skills who are winning tournaments, but like the States and what Drew is doing on vacation, like, is insane. Like he was nice and relaxed. He played extremely well. The course was designed specifically for him, from what I can tell and understand. So yeah, of course, on a long course, he's going to play better than everyone else. So I'm not surprised by this in the least. I'm happy that there were 1,000 rated rounds like competing and keeping up with him. So again, shout out to Jackson and Joe. But yeah, like this is, I think it's a wake up call, and I hope that players are taking this wake up call seriously. That Jackson plays all the time, Joe plays all the time, and they still, nothing personal, aren't in the same league as Drew Gibson, and Drew's top 10 player in the world. Do you know what I mean? So to have him come over and win by such a margin is not surprising to me. And so, it just goes to show how much more growth and more potential there are for our players in New Zealand. And so, shout out to the boys. I can't wait for Flexline coverage to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Flexline coverage as well. Not least to see an eagle on a 300-meter par 5. That's going to be.
Apparently, he overthrew it and went out of bounds in the second round.
I mean, lots of people listening to the show and lots of people in New Zealand can throw 150 meters, right? So that will put you that will put you pin high, right? If you shoot 200, but you got to do it twice, and they both got to be accurate, right? And so like that's the So yeah, I think it, and Matt makes a great point. He is a full-time professional. Therefore, the time he has to spend on training and practice and field work and fitness and mindset and everything else is going to be different and probably more than people who have a full-time job and that isn't disc golf and don't have the perhaps it's probably the time actually, which is the big thing that a professional can put in. But I take your point. I actually thought that the difference in scores was larger than I was expecting, and I'll tell you for why. Looking at the difference in rating alone, and maybe this highlights another point which I'll get to at the end, right? The difference in ratings between, let's say, Drew and Jacko is 31 ratings points, right? Over the weekend, a shot was playing at 7 ratings points. So if you shot, if you played around one shot better than your opponent, then you were 7 ratings points higher. So those 31 ratings points difference divided by the 7, you'd expect a kind of 4.5 shots per round. So I was expecting Drew Gibson to win by about 13, 14 shots. He's won by 19, and maybe that highlights, and I think the point's been made before, how ratings in New Zealand might be slightly inflated now, because it's very, very difficult to judge how well Drew Gibson played when he's the only one. He's got no one else to compare with that has got the same kind of history of tournaments as he has. So yeah, I was expecting a slightly lower margin of victory.
Well, it'll be great. We'll have to ask Scott this question, like what he thinks about that, especially as he's about to go on his big world tour, like what he thinks about traveling and playing with other countries that don't necessarily have that kind of either ratings inflation in the States because of so high players, or that, kind of like lower, players in the other regions and other parts of the kind of developing disc golf world.
But as you say, it looked like it was a good battle between Jacko, Joe, and Jay anyway, and those three are going to have plenty of battles over the next certainly over the next 4 or 5 months and beyond. So we look forward to that. And obviously, when the Flexline coverage comes out, keep an eye on their socials for news of that. Over in the ladies division, it was Eilish Kumak who took out the ladies division from FA1. So well done to Eilish, shooting a hot 870 round 2. Up at Auckland Disc Golf Championships, it was Mark Dakiev who took out the championship with a 16 under par. Jake Brennan shooting particularly well, taking out second spot with 11 under par. So well done to Jake. We'll have an update on all of the rankings, the New Zealand rankings, when we at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. Now it's time to bring in our guest tonight, who is coming to us live from Landsborough in Queensland. We've spoken to him a time before. I think it was it the beginning of the year? I think it was sort of
it was before the tour season in the States.
Right, before the tour season in the States. So good evening, Scott.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, except I committed the cardinal sin. This is my first lesson to all the young pros out there, is that always have a tripod handy when you get older, because when the camera's a little bit above you, you look up and you look younger. But when the camera's below you, the neck goes down, the wrinkles come in, and it adds 10 years. So there's my first pro tip of the episode.
I think there's certainly at least one person here who can attest to what you're saying there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very important.
Good stuff. So you've been in Australia now for what, 2 weeks? A week and a bit?
I think a couple weeks. Yeah, time's flying by. So
yeah, how are you enjoying the Southern Hemisphere?
Oh, it's great. I love. I mean, we have fun everywhere. So like the answer is kind of going to be the same everywhere. Like we're going to have a great time. But no, it's been wonderful. It's exciting to finally make it down here. I've talked about it for so long.
Well, and you competed in another doubles event, right? Just recently, you competed in the doubles championship for the Aussie champs. How'd that go?
Yeah, that was today. I played with Atticus Aronson from Tasmania, and we finished second place.
Woo!
That's incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We shot. It was one round. We shot a 15 under, which isn't too bad. And yeah, you'd think that was good enough to win, but it wasn't good enough to win. Ironically, we tied Drew Gibson. But a couple kids from Perth, and forgive me, I can't remember their names. I'm such a jerk. But they shot 17 under for 18 holes. So what are you going to do? What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be on Gatekeeper Media. We had coverage for the round, so Gatekeeper Media followed our card round. It was pretty fun.
Oh, cool.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was neat.
Alex Kinniston and Connor Donnelly. I think Connor's on the RPM team. So yeah, they
are they okay? Yeah, they played great. Hats off.
We'll look forward to the Gatekeeper coverage. How does your prep differ for a tournament like Australian Nationals, being where you are, maybe obviously in a foreign country, perhaps not. You maybe don't have so much of the comforts of home. How does it differ? How does your prep differ coming into a tournament like this?
Okay, well, so you talk about the comforts of home. I don't have a home. I haven't had a home for a while. We travel full time. We don't have a home base. We don't even have a storage unit. Every single thing that I own is in my hotel room right now, and my girlfriend as well. So it doesn't really matter where in the world we are.
Pretty normal then.
It is completely normal. So yeah, there's no difference. I mean, it's just I don't want to downplay say it's just another tournament, because it's not. But it's competitive wise, it's just a tournament.
Well, I'm curious, because we talked to you last time before the season started as you were chasing this 1,000 rating and to compete on the Pro Tour. Is there anything you're doing now to prep for tournaments that you weren't doing back then when we interviewed you last time?
Earlier in the year, I was getting a lot more practice in because I was working really hard because I was trying to compete on the Pro Tour, and I needed to be shooting better to compete with the kids. And it's kind of gone backwards a fair amount. I've been so busy with my business. I now teach a 6-month online class called Become a Complete Disc Golfer. There's information at scottstokely.net. But so I was teaching 6 online classes, and now I have seminars going off all over the U.S. I have 2 teachers, Disc Golf Pro Tour touring pros, who are teaching my method all over the U.S. So I'm scheduling those. I mean, I'm not complaining about any of it. My business is going great, but it's that takes up most of my free time. So not to say much, but a lot. So practice has been in between work, just like the real world. just like everybody else.
You mentioned at the beginning of the year that you wanted to climb above that 1,000 rated barrier. You've achieved that. You're going into this tournament 1,006 rated. How do you rate how the season went for you?
It's funny. So yeah, I started off the season 991, but I wasn't practicing at all. I was going to tournaments blind, playing courses blind, not warming up. I mean, I just like playing was not on my list of priorities. I was teaching, joining my seminars. When I started putting the time in, I started playing better. So like my last 4 tournaments leading up to the World Championships, for the tournament, I shot 1,010, 1,009, 1,017, 1,016, 1,024. So I was playing in that close to 1,020 range is where I was basically kind of settled into. And which is fine. I'm 53 years old. Like I'm not like upset about that or anything. At the end of the season, this was what's interesting. Like I was close to an average touring pro as you can get. Like 60% of my tournaments, I think I cashed. So 60% of the tournaments, I'm in the top 40% of the prize money. I had an 11th place at a silver series, a couple 9th places at big A tiers. Didn't cash at some. Like I'm pretty much as mediocre as you can get. But mediocre is okay because at 53 years old, it means that I'm good enough to be out there competing with the best in the world. Like I'm an average touring pro, which is a pretty big accomplishment these days. So it's been great.
And so how does that feel? I know that this Australia is kind of the first leg of your world tour. Do you want to kind of tell us a bit more about like your country plans or tournament plans, or is that all just kind of flying by the seat of your pants?
Well, so no, I mean, I have a general idea what I want to do. So we took off 2 weeks ago. Our plan is to be gone for at least the next 2.5 years. Just traveling around the world. It's 6 weeks in Australia, 4 weeks in New Zealand, 4 months in Southeast Asia. I'm doing like a bunch of demos in Singapore and then playing tournaments in Thailand, Cambodia, and Malaysia. Backpacking around Vietnam, no tournaments. Then off to Japan. But then next year I'm going to be doing the full Euro tour.
Ooh.
So the plan is, as of now, I mean, not as of now, it's not a plan. For sure, I'm doing the full Euro tour now. A Euro tour and the disc golf, the European Pro Tour. There's 2 separate tours. I'm doing them both.
Okay.
But then next winter, the plan is to go to India and Africa for the winter. There's 4 tournaments in Africa, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Kenya, and South Africa that I really, 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 really badly want to go to. And I will if there's parts of the world that you can't predict a year ahead of time. Like right now, those places are okay, but play it by ear. But then the plan is, as of now, is to go back and do the Euro Tour again in 2024. And then I want to do South America for the winter and then be back on the Pro Tour in 2025 at 55 years old. If I'm still good enough to be in, like I'm not going to go out there just to make an appearance because they let me play because I'm like used to be good. But if I'm an average player, if I'm middle of the pack, then like I certainly by definition belong, out there. So if I'm still in that 1,010 rating area, I'll be on the tour again in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's my plan.
So a lot of people listening to this podcast will want to focus in on the New Zealand section of your, perhaps for obvious reasons. So you've been in Aussie for 2 weeks now, so we can expect you this side of the pond in about 4 or 5 weeks' time?
Yeah, I think December 9th is when I'm coming over.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing, I don't want to make any announcements to like mess anybody up, but like as of right now, I'm finalizing the dates to do 6 clinics. It's Auckland and the tentative plan is Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and Queenstown, and then there's 2 others. Invercargill and Taupo. Taupo, I think. I think those
Taupo.
are the 6
Yep.
for lead shorts.
Yeah.
I'll have that finalized like in the next day or two, and then I'll post those. But that's really what I'm doing is mostly. I mean, I love teaching, so these will be like fun clinics.
Fantastic. Well,
Well,
me and
when
Brady
you come to Wellington, look us up. We'll take care of you here in the capital.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I know Adrienne is going to go skydiving. Right, that's the plan, right? Yeah, she's going skydiving in Wellington. I'm going skydive watching. From the, I'll be on the runway watching with my. I'll be making content. So no, we're definitely going to be. I can't wait to. I mean, yeah, and as of right now, my daughter's going to come out for like 10 days maybe and join us and just travel with us, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, it's disc golf, but I mean, it's still the off season. I'm going to be trying to do fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you're taking any tournaments while you're here?
I will know that in a couple of days. It's kind of the off season for tournaments.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, going through the events that we've got coming up, you've probably seen this, but the Fling has still got spaces open. That's December the 10th. I don't know if that cuts it fine or not.
Yeah, I won't make it by then.
Okay.
Where is that?
The Christchurch.
That's in Christchurch.
Yeah, we're flying into Auckland on the 9th.
Okay. On the 9th. Okay. So the next kind of one that might be there might be Egg Monster in Taranaki, which Brady, you're the assistant tournament director for that
Egg
tournament.
Monster?
Right?
Yep.
Egg Monster, that's a great tournament name. I almost want to go because of the name.
So it's held at Mount Taranaki in Taranaki, and Mount Taranaki used to be called Mount Egmont. So it's held in New Plymouth, and which is in the North Island. It's on the way down between Auckland and Wellington on the 7th and 8th.
What date on that one?
7th and 8th
7th
of January.
and 8th of January.
Yep.
Oh, I'll be gone by then.
All right.
I'll be in Singapore. Yeah, it's off season. But so the thing is that I'll be back in New Zealand many times because I'm going to be in the Southern Hemisphere. I think almost every winter for the rest of my life. I'm over the cold.
Fair enough. Well, we'll look forward to the clinics and actually keep an eye on your social channels for the dates if people want to get involved and sign up and stuff.
Yeah, and the big one, and then also my 6-month online class, Become a Complete Disc Golfer at scottstokely.net. I mean, really super excited about it. It's been going great. It's 6 months of it's not just like videos and like skills to work on. It's like it's an interactive live classes. Even if you don't make it, you can watch the recording, but there's an interactive group. You're going to be posting unlimited form reviews where I'm giving you skills. You're posting form reviews. I got trainers reviewing your forms, making changes. So it's a 6-month interactive, go from not throwing correctly to being better than Drew Gibson.
And can you join in at any time, or is it a kind of a term and you start at the beginning and if you miss it, fair enough, but wait until the next one starts? Is it that?
Yeah, well, the next one starts Tuesday.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I would say
get in this weekend.
Yeah, like I would recommend getting in for that one. I mean, that's just like if you miss the individual classes, you can still watch the recordings and you completely interact with the class itself. It's not like you actually miss out on anything. You just don't get the real time like questions during the live teaching, but that's what I would recommend doing. I mean, this is the right season because it's the time you can go out and practice because it's warm out, and so
totally. This
is kind of when you want to do it.
And so, if people want to do that, that's on scottstokely.net.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. So head over there and get involved. We had a couple of questions from the. We let people know that you were coming on, and we had a couple of questions come through on the comments. So I wanted to go and go to one of those. So Patricio, he's based up in Auckland. You'll probably meet him at one of the clinics. He's what is your routine before a tournament?
Honestly, I just get there early enough to get warmed up, and the best warm up, I swear by, just playing and throwing. Throw softer and start throwing harder. The thing about like stretching and warming up and physiology is it changes like every 5 years. Like as soon as they tell you that one method of stretching is best. 5 years later, it turns out you're giving yourself arthritis or something by doing it, right? I think I still don't think they've figured it out yet. So the one thing that I think is just always going to be universal is throw soft shots that you're going to be throwing at the tournament and then start throwing harder. I can't imagine that ever being a wrong approach. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of just what I do. And then I got to get the putts in. But and then not show up late. Last minute doesn't work. What happens is someone shows up last minute one time. Probabilities dictate that sometimes that works out. So someone shows up at the last minute for league and birdies the first 4 holes in a row, and then they get it in their head that they don't need to warm up, right? And then whenever it works, confirmation bias clicks in. It's like, no, there's no way that playing cold is better. Even if you think it's better, like you pay better without warming up, you don't. So get there early.
Yeah. And Jeremy asks, he says, I appreciate your mentality when having a bad round and not letting your emotions affect the rest of the card. Can you speak on this point and how you manage your emotions when playing poorly? Yeah.
So there's a couple layers there. The first is you have I think it's just a social responsibility. It's not even disc golf. I mean, you have a social responsibility to not be a douchebag. Like, I don't care if it's having a bad round of golf or because your food is late at the restaurant or someone cuts you off in traffic. You're entitled to be at the tournament, but if it's a communal event with other humans, you're not entitled to behave any way you want. That's just my opinion, right? But so yeah, you have other people that paid to be there too. To take away from their fun or to distract them it's douchebag. It's just to me, there's no way around it. That's what it is. So I don't want to be that. So I make sure I don't act like that. But the other thing is it's just perspective. Like it's a Frisbee golf tournament. Like how rough is your life? Like you threw a bad throw with your Frisbee in the park. Wah, like this is not the real world. Like when you play at the highest level and it's your job and you're counting on trying to get sponsors and you've worked really hard for it, I understand that there's feelings associated with it. There's frustrations, there's expectations. Like we're human, and I think human emotions are okay, but you still can't forget the fact that like a bad throw is not getting cancer or getting fired from your job or going through a divorce or your kids getting sick. I don't know. I just think there's other things in the world that are a bigger deal than Frisbee golf. But
no, that's fair. That's fair. Good perspective. So now onto a form tip. So this one might be covered in your online classes. But
before you ask the question, my class is called Become a Complete Disc Golfer. So I will tell you in advance it is covered in the class. But I'll still ask the question. And if I sound smart enough, people will sign up for the class. See?
Well, Stephen Reed asks, how important is your grip on the disc? And does a tighter grip result in a better release? And what would you consider gripping a disc too tightly?
Okay. Yeah, this is a good question. So when it comes to grip, there will never be a correct grip in disc golf. Ever. In 1,000 years, when we've perfected what a correct disc golf throw looks like, there will never be one correct grip. With grip, you're trying to accomplish 3 things. You need a strong grip, you need a clean release, and a consistent release. So you need a strong grip because you need to be able to hang on to the disc until its furthest point forward before it rips out of your hands. You need a clean release because you want it to come out with as little wobble as possible. And you need a consistent release because you need it to come out the same or as close as possible to the same every time. That's universal, accomplishing those 3 things. And very important to accomplish those 3 things. There will never be one grip that'll yield those 3 results for every player because our hands are just so radically different. Different length fingers, different flexibilities, different strengths, different shapes. like half the people, by the time you get to my age, they've broken fingers and they bend weird directions. Like you can't tell a player you must grip a disc a certain way. Anyone that tells you must grip a disc a certain way is incorrect. So you have to figure out which grip works for you. So a good starting place is that 4 fingers gripping the disc are stronger than 3. So in a perfect world, actually, is there a disc in here? There's got to be a disc in our hotel room.
I've got one here, so I can practice on it as well.
In the player's package from the turn, I knew there would be one here.
Oh, perfect.
So all things being equal, 4 fingers are stronger than 3. That's a 4-finger grip. It's a fan grip. This is a 4-finger pinch grip. This is a 4-finger power grip. All 3 of those are equally valid grips. One of those is not better than the other. Just to illustrate that point, one of the worst named things in all of disc golf is the term power grip. We've all heard the term power grip. The minute this was called a power grip or got named power grip, every new player in the world naturally assumes when you want to throw far, that's how you grip the disc. It's a myth. Drew Gibson doesn't grip it this way, neither do I. I don't believe Garrett Gerthy does. I don't believe Simon Lizotte does. And if I get one of those names wrong, forgive me. But this is no better than this. It's based on your hand shape. So I throw the pinch grip, power grip is equally valid. So all things being equal, 4 fingers, stronger than 3. However, if you cannot get a clean, consistent release with any of these 3 grips that use 4 fingers, but the minute you pop the pinky off, you get a clean, consistent release, then 3 fingers is how you grip the disc. So that's just an example that there is no universally correct grip. Be willing to play with whatever grip gives you the clean, consistent release, and that is your grip. Mm-hmm. And it can look totally different than the person next to you and both be correct. So grip is super important, but how specifically you grip the disc is not important. Now, as far as tightness, impossible question to answer. There's just no way. We can't even quantify how many. Well, we call it pounds per square inch. You guys would call it.
We use the same.
Whatever the term is in every country in the world but the U.S. It's not pounds per square inch, but it's basically how tight you squeeze it. Even if there was a number that I could give you, what does that mean? You can't test it. You can't make yourself do it and measure it. So it's irrelevant. Here's what I'll tell you. You already gripped the disc with the correct strength. Because if you didn't grip it tight enough, it would leave your hand during acceleration. If you gripped it too tight, it wouldn't leave your hand at all. So you are gripping the disc. The tightness you're gripping it is already correct. It just automatically is for everybody in the world. So that's kind of a long answer, but the reality is play with different grips. Whichever one gives you the correct feel, that is your correct grip. I want to add one thing to that. Very important. The worst advice anyone could give you in disc golf as far as throwing technique is just figure out what works for you and do it that way. Okay, that's horrible advice. There is absolutely a correct way.
I've heard that so often.
There's a correct way to throw. There's a right and a wrong way. Physics, biomechanics, that trumps everything. There's a correct way to do things. The one exception to that rule, it's an exception, but that is grip. Grip is 100% individual, but it's the only part that is. How's that for a 10-minute answer to a simple question?
No, not at all. I'm glad you said that actually, because I completely agree. The amount of times I've heard it though is scary.
Yeah, no, there's you can't just throw any way you want to. There's physics trumps everything.
But the tattoos help, Scott?
Oh, that?
Yeah, does that help with grip at all?
Yes, it does. Actually, it just hurts. By the way, a lot more people have tattoos than in the U.S. In the U.S., tattoos are popular, but Jesus Christ, down here, it's insane. You see, the most conservative-looking people with tattoos up and down their backs and on their necks. It's definitely more.
It certainly is. Certainly is. I can't say from personal experience myself, but Brady, you got a couple of tattoos, haven't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say I got an armband myself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Very good.
You look just like The Rock.
I might quote you on that, Scott.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, then when you quote me, have me doing this. You look just like The Rock.
So this weekend, then, what are you looking to get out of this weekend? Because you got your first round is tomorrow. I think you're on the feature card tomorrow. Are you frustrated by this, that you come all the way to Australia and play on the same card as two other Americans? Is that is that a thing? Or
No, not at all. I mean, you got to put Drew on the feature card, and I think it makes sense. My goal is to win the tournament. There's some confusion sometimes when I talk about it's frisbee golf. You're just playing a game. That's just a mindset that keeps you happy and makes you pleasant to be around. But when you're competing in a professional sport at the highest level, there's still this absolute drive to win and succeed. I very much want to win. That's my goal. My goal is, like, first and foremost, is to win. But it's just, you won't be able to tell how I'm playing by how I act. But it doesn't mean I'm not serious about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few Kiwis going over. Actually, there's about, what is it, half dozen, bit more than that, actually, 7 or 8 Kiwis. A lot of the RPM guys are heading over.
Yeah. Oh no, I had dinner with them last night.
Yeah, and they're good fun, and I think Jacko's going to be hunting you down on the league card, certainly.
Yeah, we had dinner with him last night, right? Yeah, we had dinner with him and Simon and them. I love Simon. I've known Simon for 20 years. I love that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, I've known him longer than all the disc golfers in New Zealand, just about.
Where'd you meet him? Did you meet him at Worlds?
Yeah, at Worlds in 2000 in Michigan. And he invited me to come down to New Zealand, and I for some weird reason didn't go 20 years ago. It took me 20 years to make it. Well, I still haven't made it, but in theory.
Yeah. Better late than never.
If the Salties don't get me. They say they're not down here. I do not believe them. I don't. I'm terrified. Australia's got me so scared.
Well,
you saw like an Aussie Grizzly the other day, didn't you?
Yes. You guys saw the picture. That's terrifying, right? They have grizzly bears in Australia. They hang up in a tree. Well, no. So what's scary about them is they disguise themselves as koala bears. They're pretty much like serial killers who disguise themselves as clowns or ice cream salespeople or something, right? The grizzly bears down here act like koala bears, but you can just look into their eyes. You can tell.
It's there's certainly got a lot of I think that the top 10 or 10 of the top 11 most venomous snakes or something live in Australia. So
all the venomous spiders, and they got salties and bites. Bites are great white sharks.
You'll be pleased to know.
They've got slitties, which are the snakes. They got creepy crawlies, and they got drop bears, and they've got, oh God, what else do they got here? They got leeches in the ponds. They don't kill you, but they try to. Yeah, it's this place is terrifying. And by the way, as I say this, nothing scary has happened yet, but I'm still sure it's going to happen tomorrow.
You don't get any of that in New Zealand. You'll be pleased to know there are I don't think there are any venomous.
No, that's why your rugby teams are so soft.
Killing venomous. There might be some that bite you, but yeah.
I'm glad you didn't hear that.
I heard it was great. We have a question come in from Australia about Simon.
Yes.
So 4 Circle Discs ask, when did you first see Simon naked? Because everyone has a naked Simon story.
Yeah, I've heard the naked Simon stories too. I have yet to see him naked. But the night is young. Yeah, he was only half naked at the beach. Dude, Yeah, I get it. I got dressed for this podcast, and I'm not wearing pants.
Does that top come in yellow? I kind of like it.
Oh, this top?
Yeah.
No, just green and white.
Dang it.
When did I first see Simon naked? Yeah, I've heard about him getting out of hot tubs at like hotels and naked. So yeah, I've heard. I don't know if it's rumors or not, but you never know. The stories grow.
So, go on, ready. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Matt. You're good.
No, we've had a question come through from Morgan at Generation Disc Golf. I'm assuming it's Morgan running the Generation Disc Golf account tonight. Which is, are you going to the Japan Open? And any thoughts on the event?
Yeah, so I was going to play in fact, I entered the Japan Open, but the European schedule wasn't out yet, and the one of the two tours didn't start until June. So I thought I was going to make it, but now there's a couple of European events that conflict with Japan. I'm so sorry. And so I don't think I can make the Japan Open, and I might have to withdraw from it because it conflicts with Europe. So I'm kind of bummed. We're still going to go to Japan. We were going to spend a week following the cherry blossoms around Japan, at least for like a week or two, right? At least or a month or something. I don't know. We're going to be in Japan for a while, but I don't think we're going to make the Japan Open now. So I'm bummed, but I will make it again. I've been there twice. I went to the Japan Open and then another tournament in Japan, and it's incredible. It's my favorite place in the world that I've ever been. So, although I'm going to a lot more places this year, so we'll see how it stacks up at the end. But as of right now, it's still my favorite place I've ever been.
Good stuff.
Now, you used to have to use ultralight discs in Japan? Is that still a thing?
I heard it changed, but I'm not. But I don't know that for sure. I don't mind I'm a frisbee player. I grew up playing frisbee. I have no problem with light discs. In fact, I throw better with heavier discs, obviously, like everybody, but I can transition to light discs easier than other people. So I actually it works to my advantage. I can throw a 150 gram disc and not notice it.
Yeah.
Not really.
No, I mean, personally, I prefer. I've got several lightweight discs in my bag. My noodly arm thanks me for not getting it too many.
Noodly arm. You should take my class.
Yeah, well, that's it. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah, you should take the class and then talk about it on your show.
That would be a very good idea. Very good idea. ScottStokely.net, you say, to sign
free
up.
content. ScottStokely.net. Yep. Yeah, I need to keep plugging my show. This is how I can afford to do all this. So
I think there are a couple of I heard of a couple of Kiwis who signed up or for maybe the previous.
Oh, a bunch of people from Australia. I've already run into 4 people at this tournament that are in my class that are
wow,
blown away by how well it's working for them.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. Well, look, I'm really looking forward to your schedule coming out for New Zealand when these clinics are going to be on, and certainly when you're in Wellington, we'll have to meet you and come to one of your clinics, and it'll be fantastic.
Sure, would love that.
Excellent. Look, Scott, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a good laugh, and it's great to talk to you as ever. Very best of luck tomorrow and for the rest of the weekend. And we look forward to seeing you in person in a few weeks' time.
I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys as well. I'm looking forward to coming to New Zealand finally. It's taken me a lifetime to make it there, so I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast.
Excellent. Well, look, best of luck, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right. Cheers, Scott. Thanks.
Cheers.
Excellent. Look, Brady, I'm really looking forward to meeting Scott and going to one of his clinics. I'm really am looking forward to that. And I'm tempted to hop on over to scottstokely.net and get one of his online online courses because
I'm a complete disc golfer. Was
Yeah.
the tour? I'll help plug it for him.
Yeah.
Was one of his clinics? Have you seen his 360 forehand?
I did see a 360 forehand. Yes, it looks like it would be quite painful, and I think wasn't that the move that put Eagles' elbow out for well, it's still out really. But
well, clearly he was just young and inexperienced. You apparently need to be like a 50-plus-year-old disc golfer in order to be able to pull off a 360 forehand.
Yeah, maybe that's. I'm not sure that'll be chapter 1, but I'm sure it might get covered at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you think 360 forehand comes in on this 6-month complete disc golfer?
It's got to be towards the end, isn't it? Got to be towards the end.
It's definitely not in that like warm up softly part. I don't think.
No, not at all. Not at all. Right. We've got a few events coming up. So let's go through what some of the events we've got on the agenda. So this weekend is Faultline Fury down here in Wellington and the Temuka Tussle. Brady, you're playing Faultline.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not, but I'm looking forward to catching up with all the results and everything. Then, unfortunately, a prior engagement has meant that that I'm not able to make it, but I will be able to pop along for a few hours on each day, I suspect. Day at the Lake at Te Anau is on the 4th of December, and then the Fling on the 9th to the 11th of December. There are still tickets available for that. So get involved, get in contact with Dave Rose down in Christchurch. He always runs a great tournament day. So yeah, and this year's Fling will be no different. You've got the Egg Monster, which is the first one back after the new year and leads us via the Roxburgh Open and, of course, the Centurion into Big Free. In February.
Do you have Makarippi in there somewhere? Has those dates come out yet for
I haven't. No, I haven't seen it. But then that could just be me. Discmas in the Park. Hemi's running on the 17th of December in Queenstown. So get involved with that. And we've got Heisender listed. We've got Heisender on there as well. So yeah, I haven't seen the dates for Rotorua just yet. It's not on the PGA site, but as soon as I see something, we'll let you know. Right.
I was going to say big shout out, to Dave. There are plenty of spaces open for the Fling. So if you want some summer disc golf action, check out the Fling. Same thing with Taranaki. I know the Egg Monster, there's still plenty of spaces open there. Again, those are going to be, if you're a big arm thrower and you want to, like stretch that distance, feel free to jump into those. Sign up now. All the registrations are open, gone live, and you can find them on Facebook or on, I believe, Disc Golf Scene for both of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mike Foley in the comments has the link to RPM Garage Project Makarippi.
Oh, lovely. There we go. Yeah. So there we go. Get involved. That one will be in February, March time normally. Right. Let's just take a quick look at the power rankings. There's no change in the ladies division, but there's been several changes in the MPO division. Most notably, Joe Barry moving up 3 spots to 3rd place. And also Jake Brennan making an appearance in the top 20, up 7 spots to 19. The biggest move of this week was Ben Schicker, who moves up 60 spots to 33rd. So congratulations to Ben. And yeah, so we'll update the we're going to do updates of the odds because remember last week we covered the odds for nationals. We'll do more updates on the odds. Probably our next update for that will be after Faultline and after the Fling. Let's do that. So we've got a Christmas line in the sand there. And that'll be episode 99. The one shortly before Christmas. I know, right? We'll be playing with a straight bat on that one, so make sure we come back in the new year. Right. Brady, anything else we need to cover? I think we've covered quite a lot this today.
No, that's it. Super thanks to Scott once again from joining us from Australia. Looking forward to another battle here in the capital. You know, Fault Line Fury has been running for quite some time. So big shout out to Liz and Jack ahead of time for all the work that they've put in, and good luck to all the competitors on the weekend.
Also, very best of luck to Henry Pearson, Jackson Sullivan, Simon Feasy, Anthony Rogers, Matt Pritchard, and Russell Meal, Keith Inwood, and Ryan Martin Gorn, who are all the Kiwis playing in the Australian Nationals this weekend as well. For all the very best, and tear up whatever division you happen to be in. Wherever you're playing disc golf this week, take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.